You do not need a new life. You need new habits. Your future is being built right now by the things you repeat when nobody is watching. Small actions look insignificant today, but repeated long enough, they become your identity, your results, and eventually your life. That is the power of habits. You can keep repeating the behaviors that are holding you back, or you can choose differently. You have a choice. And in this audiobook, you will discover 10 life-changing lessons that can transform what you do every single day. Chapter 1. Stop chasing goals and build systems. Most people are addicted to goals. They want the bigger income, the better body, the successful business, the perfect career, the transformed life. But wanting something is not the same as building something. A goal gives you direction. A system gives you results. That's the key. If you want to lose weight, saying, "I want to lose 20 pounds," is a goal. But the goal does not change your body. Your system does. Your meals, your workouts, your sleep, your schedule, your consistency. The goal tells you where to go. The system determines whether you get there. If you want to read more, stop obsessing over finishing 50 books. Build a system that puts a book in your hands for 20 minutes every day. If you want to become financially successful, stop staring at a specific amount of money. Build a system for earning, saving, investing, and controlling unnecessary spending. If you want to become disciplined, stop waiting to feel disciplined. Build routines that require discipline. You have a choice. You can keep dreaming about the result, or you can build the process that produces it. And here is the problem most people never consider. Winning once means nothing if the system is broken. Someone can lose 20 pounds and gain it back because they never developed financial discipline. Someone can make a large amount of money and lose it because they never developed financial discipline. Someone can become successful and then destroy that success through the same habits that created their previous problems. Why? Because the result changed, but the person did not. The behavior did not. The system did not. So eventually, the old system produces the old outcome. That is why you cannot build your life around temporary victories. Do not build a life around temporary victories. Build a system that makes progress inevitable. That's the key. Do not ask, "How can I win?" Ask, "How can I create a process that keeps producing wins?" That question changes everything. Now look at your own life. Stop asking only what you want. Ask what you repeatedly do. Because your intentions can lie, your routine cannot. You might say you want financial freedom, but if you repeatedly spend everything you earn, your routine is telling the truth. You might say you want to become healthier, but if you repeatedly choose convenience over discipline, your routine is telling the truth. You might say you want to build a business, but if you repeatedly spend your most productive hours scrolling, your routine is telling the truth. Your routine is telling the truth about your priorities. Read that again. Your routine is telling the truth. Not your plans, not your excuses, not your intentions. Your repetitions. That's what matters. So today, audit your system. Write down what you repeatedly do from morning until night. Look at where your time goes. Look at where your money goes. Look at where your attention goes. Then ask one brutal question. Is this routine creating the life I claim to want? If the answer is no, change the system. Not tomorrow, not when motivation returns, now. You don't need their permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need another inspirational speech. You need better repetitions. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's not about setting bigger goals. It's about building better systems. You have a choice. Stop chasing outcomes. Start engineering your days. Because your future will eventually become the accumulated result of what you repeatedly do. Goals tell you where to go. Systems determine whether you get there. And once you build the right system, something even deeper begins to happen. Your repeated actions start changing the way you see yourself. You stop simply pursuing a result, you start becoming the person capable of producing it.
Chapter 2. Your habits are building your identity. Most people try to change their behavior without changing the way they see themselves. They say, I want to read more. I want to exercise. I want to become successful. But there is a deeper question. Who are you becoming? That's the key, because lasting change does not begin with what you want to achieve. It begins with who you believe you are. There is a difference between saying, I want to read more books, and saying, I am a reader. There's a difference between saying, I want to exercise, and saying, I am someone who trains. The first statement describes a goal. The second describes an identity. And identity is powerful. When you believe you are a certain type of person, your behavior starts aligning with that belief. A reader reads. A disciplined person keeps promises. A healthy person makes healthier decisions. A serious professional does the work even when nobody's watching. You have a choice. You can keep waiting for results to prove who you are, or you can start behaving like the person you want to become. That's the key. Every action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every workout is a vote for being someone who takes care of their body. Every page you read is a vote for being someone who values knowledge. Every focused hour is a vote for being someone who respects their goals. Every time you resist an unnecessary distraction, you cast another vote for discipline. One vote does not determine the election. One workout does not transform your body. One book does not make you knowledgeable. One productive day does not make you disciplined. But repetition changes the evidence, and evidence changes belief. That is why your small actions matter. You are constantly collecting evidence about yourself. If you repeatedly break promises to yourself, you begin believing that you cannot trust yourself. If you repeatedly avoid difficult work, you begin seeing yourself as someone who avoids difficulty. But if you repeatedly do what you said you would do, something changes. Your confidence becomes stronger. Your self-image becomes stronger. Your identity becomes stronger. You become what you repeatedly prove. That's the key. Do not underestimate the power of repetition. One healthy meal seems insignificant. One workout seems insignificant. 1 hour of focused work seems insignificant. One page seems insignificant. But stack them, repeat them, build evidence. Eventually, the behavior stops feeling like something you are forcing yourself to do. It becomes something you naturally do because it fits your identity. Now, understand something important. You do not need to wait until you have the result before becoming the person. A writer does not need a best-selling book before behaving like a writer. A business owner does not need millions in revenue before developing the habits of a serious operator. An athlete does not wait for the championship before training like a champion. They practice the identity first. The results come later. Do not wait to become it. Start behaving like it. You don't need their permission. You don't need applause. You don't need strangers to recognize your transformation. You need evidence. Give yourself evidence every day. If you want to become disciplined, keep one promise today. If you want to become healthier, make one better decision today. If you want to become a reader, read today. If you want to become successful, do the work today. Do not make the mistake of demanding a new identity from a completely unchanged routine. Change the routine. The identity follows. And remember, it's not about perfection, it's about discipline. You will fail sometimes. You will have bad days. You will lose momentum. But return. Vote again. Prove it again. You have a choice. Every day your actions are answering one question. What kind of person am I becoming? So make your answer deliberate, because your habits are not simply producing results, they are producing you. Every action is a vote, every repetition is evidence, and every day is another opportunity to become the person your future requires. You become what you repeatedly prove. Now, that you understand that your habits shape your identity, the next lesson is about the force that makes those habits powerful over time.
Chapter 3. Small habits create massive results. Most people want massive change. They want it quickly. They want the new body in 30 days, the successful business in 6 months, the financial breakthrough by next year, the perfect mindset immediately. But real transformation rarely happens that way. It starts smaller, much smaller, 1% better, one better decision, one extra page, one workout, one focused hour, $1 saved, one difficult task completed instead of postponed. That's the key. Small improvements look insignificant today, but repeated improvements become powerful over time. Think about fitness. One workout will not transform your body, but one workout repeated 3 times a week for a year creates a completely different person. Think about reading. One page does not make you an expert, but one page every day becomes hundreds of pages over time. Think about money. One small amount saved may seem meaningless, but consistently spending less than you earn, saving regularly, and investing intelligently can completely change your financial future. Think about business. One improvement to your product, one better customer interaction, one more sales call, one piece of useful content, one process made more efficient. None of these actions looks revolutionary, but stack them, repeat them, improve them. Eventually, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. Small does not mean weak. Small means repeatable. That's the key. People often fail because they make the starting point too difficult. They decide they will exercise 2 hours every morning. They decide they will read 50 pages every night. They decide they will completely eliminate every bad habit overnight. They create a plan so demanding that they cannot sustain it. Then they fail. Then they blame themselves. Stop doing that. Make the behavior smaller. Make it easier to repeat. The goal is not to impress yourself for 3 days. The goal is to build something you can sustain for 300 days. You have a choice. You can chase dramatic transformation, or you can build quiet consistency. And here is the frustrating part. The beginning is supposed to look insignificant. You may work for weeks and see almost nothing. You may exercise and still look the same. You may save money and still feel financially behind. You may read every day and still feel like you know very little. You may work on your business every day and still see almost no growth. This is where most people quit. They mistake invisible progress for no progress. But the work is happening before the evidence appears. Read that again. The work is happening before the evidence appears. A seed does not look like a tree. Early effort often looks unimpressive because the results are accumulating beneath the surface. Keep going. The compound effect needs time. And remember, compounding does not only work in your favor, it can work against you. 5 minutes of scrolling seems harmless. One unnecessary purchase seems harmless. Skipping one workout seems harmless. Delaying one important task seems harmless. But repeat those choices again and again and again. Now you have a pattern. That pattern becomes a habit. That habit becomes part of your lifestyle, and your lifestyle eventually produces consequences. Tiny choices become major consequences when repeated long enough. That's why you must respect small decisions. The 5 minutes matter. The 1 page matters. The 1 workout matters. The one saved amount matters. The one focused hour matters. The one decision to say no matters. You have a choice. You can use small actions to build the future you want, or you can use small excuses to build the future you fear. There is no neutral repetition. Every repeated behavior is taking you somewhere. So stop asking, will this tiny action really make a difference? Ask, what happens if I repeat this for a year? That's the better question. It's not about dramatic change. It's about discipline. It's not about doing everything today. It's about doing something useful consistently. Small does not mean weak. Small means repeatable, and repeatable actions become habits. Compounded habits become results, and eventually become a life. So start small, stay consistent, keep improving, because the person who becomes 1% better repeatedly can eventually become unrecognizable. You have a choice. The question is not whether your small actions matter. The question is what those small actions are building. And once you understand the power of repetition, you must learn how to make the right behaviors easier and the wrong behaviors harder.
Chapter 4. Make good habits easy and bad habits difficult. Stop relying on motivation. Motivation feels powerful until it disappears. You wake up inspired, you create a plan, you promise yourself that today will be different. Then the alarm rings. You feel tired. Your phone is beside you. Your bed is comfortable. Your notifications are waiting. And suddenly, the plan is gone. That's why motivation is not enough. That's the key. You should not build your life around how motivated you feel. You should build your environment around the behavior you want to repeat. Think about your phone. If your phone is beside your bed, what is the easiest thing to do when you wake up? Check it, scroll, reply, watch, consume. Now imagine putting a book beside your bed instead. The easiest action becomes different. You see the book, you pick it up, you read. The environment changed, the behavior became easier. Make the right behavior easier, make the wrong behavior harder. That principle can change your entire life. If you want to exercise in the morning, put your workout clothes beside your bed the night before. If you want to eat healthier, prepare your meals before you become hungry. If you want to read, keep the book where you can see it. If you want to work deeply, remove unnecessary apps and notifications from your workspace. If you want to spend less money, make unnecessary purchases harder to make. You have a choice. You can keep blaming yourself for lacking discipline, or you can design an environment that supports discipline. Your environment is silently coaching you. Every room is giving you instructions. Every object is creating a cue. Every notification is demanding attention. Every convenient option is competing for your behavior. Think about your kitchen. If unhealthy snacks are visible and easy to reach, you are more likely to eat them. If healthy food is prepared and accessible, you are more likely to choose it. Think about your workspace. If your phone is on the desk, distraction is available. If your workspace contains only the tools required for your most important task, focus becomes easier. Think about exercise. If your equipment is hidden away and difficult to access, the habit requires more effort. If your shoes are ready and your workout is already planned, the first step becomes easier. This is not weakness. This is strategy. Stop making discipline unnecessarily difficult. That's the key. You do not need to fight yourself every minute of every day. You need to reduce friction, because every extra step creates another opportunity to quit. Imagine wanting to exercise. Your clothes are buried. Your shoes are missing. You have not decided what workout to do. You have no schedule. You have to figure everything out before starting. That's friction. Now imagine something different. Your clothes are ready. Your shoes are beside the door. Your workout is already written down. Your time is scheduled. You wake up and execute.
Less thinking, less resistance, more action. Convenience creates repetition. Repetition creates results. The same principle works against bad habits. Want to spend less time scrolling? Move the apps. Log out. Turn off notifications. Put the phone in another room. Want to stop eating certain foods? Do not keep them within easy reach. Want to stop wasting your mornings? Do not let your phone become the first thing you touch. Make the wrong behavior harder. Create friction. You have a choice. You can keep testing your willpower against temptation, or you can remove temptation from the battlefield. You don't need their permission. You don't need perfect discipline. You need better design. Tonight, look around your environment. Ask yourself, what behavior does this environment make easy? Then ask, what behavior does it make difficult? Change the answers. Put the good habit in your path. Move the bad habit out of your path. Prepare before you need to perform, because when preparation is done correctly, discipline becomes easier. It's not about having unlimited willpower. It's about discipline through design. Make the right behavior easier. Make the wrong behavior harder. Make good choices convenient. Make bad choices inconvenient. Then repeat. Because your environment is silently coaching you, whether you realize it or not. And if you control the environment, you control more of the behavior. But there is another problem. Even when you make good habits easier, bad habits can still remain dangerously accessible. So the next step is to make those destructive habits harder to resist.
Chapter 5. Make bad habits harder to resist. Stop negotiating with temptation. This is where many people lose. They keep putting themselves in front of the same distraction and then expect themselves to magically resist it. The phone is beside them. The social media app is open. The junk food is in the kitchen. The entertainment is one click away. Then they say, I need more discipline. No, you need fewer unnecessary battles. That's the key. Every time you expose yourself to temptation, you create another opportunity to surrender. If you are trying to focus, why keep your phone beside you? If you are trying to eat better, why keep junk food within reach? If you are trying to stop wasting time online, why keep distracting websites one click away? You have a choice. You can keep fighting temptation, or you can remove the battlefield. Discipline becomes easier when temptation becomes harder. Delete the distracting app. Block the website. Turn off the notification. Put the phone in another room. Remove the junk food. Log out of the account. Create distance between yourself and the behavior you are trying to eliminate. This is not weakness. This is intelligent discipline. You do not prove your strength by constantly standing next to the thing you are trying to avoid. You prove your strength by designing your life so the wrong choice becomes inconvenient. Think about late-night scrolling. Someone says, "Tonight I will not scroll." The phone stays beside the pillow. The screen lights up. A notification appears. They check one message, then another, then one video, then another. Suddenly, an hour disappears. The problem was not simply a lack of intention. The trigger was still there. So, change the environment. Charge the phone outside the bedroom. Use an alarm clock if necessary. Turn off notifications. Set a screen restriction. Replace the phone with a book. Now the behavior has friction. Do not fight the trigger. Remove the trigger. That's the key. Bad habits often begin before the behavior itself. The cue appears. The craving follows. Then the response happens. If you eliminate the cue, you interrupt the entire sequence. This is why you must study your environment. Ask yourself, what usually happens immediately before I perform this bad habit? Do not just study the habit, study the trigger. When do you scroll? When do you overspend? When do you procrastinate? When do you overeat?
When do you lose focus? Find the pattern, then attack the pattern. You don't need their permission. You don't need to announce your changes to everyone. You need to make the bad behavior inconvenient. And sometimes inconvenience is not enough. You need consequences. Create accountability. Make a commitment. Give someone permission to challenge you. Use technology to restrict access. Set financial consequences when appropriate. If you waste time on certain websites, block them. If you repeatedly break a commitment, create a consequence that makes breaking it painful enough to reconsider. The goal is not punishment. The goal is awareness. You are creating a system that protects you from your weaker impulses. That's discipline. If the bad habit is easy, you will repeat it. Make it inconvenient. Make the wrong choice require effort. Make the right choice require less effort. That changes the equation. And remember this, you will not always feel strong. You will not always feel focused. You will not always feel disciplined. That's normal. You are human. So stop building a strategy that requires you to be perfect. Build a strategy that still works when your motivation disappears. That's the key. It's not about having perfect self-control. It's about discipline through deliberate friction. You have a choice. You can keep saying, "I should have resisted," or you can stop putting yourself in situations where resistance is constantly required. Remove the trigger, create friction, build accountability, change the environment, make temptation harder. Because every time you remove an unnecessary temptation, you make discipline easier. And every time you make a destructive behavior inconvenient, you weaken its power over you. You don't need their permission. You need a better system. Remember, do not fight the trigger. Remove the trigger. Discipline becomes easier when temptation becomes harder. And once you have removed the obstacles and made the right choices easier, there is still one crucial question. How do you make yourself start when the task feels too big? The answer is to stop demanding massive action from yourself. Make the first step almost impossible to refuse.
Chapter 6. Master the 2-minute rule. Most people do not fail because they are incapable. They fail because they make the beginning too difficult. They look at the entire task, the entire workout, the entire book, the entire business, the entire project. Then they feel overwhelmed before they even begin. That's the problem. You are not always fighting the work. Sometimes you are fighting the size of the first step. That's the key. Make the habit so easy that you cannot refuse. Want to read more? Read 1 page. Want to exercise? Do 2 push-ups. Want to write? Write 1 sentence. Want to work on your business? Open the project. Want to meditate? Sit down for 2 minutes. Want to clean your room? Put 1 thing away. These actions may seem almost ridiculous. Good. Ridiculously easy is the point, because the goal is not to prove how much you can accomplish in 1 moment. The goal is to make starting automatic. The goal is not to finish. The goal is to begin. That's the key. Once you begin, something changes. Resistance starts shrinking. Momentum starts building. 1 page can become 10. 2 push-ups can become 20. 1 sentence can become a paragraph. 2 minutes can become 20 minutes. Opening the project can become an hour of focused work. But none of that matters if you never begin. You have a choice. You can keep waiting until you have enough time, energy, confidence, or motivation, or you can make the first step so small that those excuses lose their power. People often say, "I don't have time." But can you read 1 page? "I don't have energy." Can you put on your workout clothes? "I don't know where to start." Can you open the document? "I have too much work." Can you work for 2 minutes? Now the excuse becomes harder to defend because the requirement is small, the action is simple, and the resistance is manageable. Start small, start now,
Let momentum do the rest. Do not underestimate momentum. A moving object is easier to keep moving than an object sitting still. The same thing happens with habits. Starting is often the hardest part. Once you begin, continuing becomes easier. That is why you must stop judging small beginnings. A small beginning is still a beginning, and repeated beginnings become consistency. That's what you are building, not heroic effort, consistency. Imagine two people trying to get fit. Person A trains for 2 hours every Sunday, but does nothing for the rest of the week. Person B trains for 10 minutes every day. Person A may feel more productive, but person B is practicing the identity of someone who shows up. 10 minutes becomes a routine. The routine becomes automatic. The automatic behavior becomes part of identity. That is more powerful than occasional intensity. You do not need perfect days. You need repeated days. That's the key. You don't need their permission. You don't need to impress anyone with how difficult your routine is. You need to show up again and again and again. It's not about intensity. It's about discipline. It's not about doing everything today. It's about doing something consistently enough for it to become part of you. So choose one habit right now. Make it smaller. If your goal is to read, start with 1 page. If your goal is fitness, start with 2 minutes. If your goal is writing, start with 1 sentence. If your goal is business, start with 1 task. Remove the pressure to finish. Focus on starting. Then repeat tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Because the person who repeatedly shows up will eventually outperform the person who occasionally goes all in. You have a choice. Make the beginning easy. Make the habit repeatable. Build the identity, and let consistency do what motivation never could. Start small. Start now. Let momentum do the rest. Because once you master the ability to start, you must learn something even more important: how to keep going when you no longer feel like it.
Chapter 7. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Stop waiting to feel motivated. That waiting is costing you more than you realize. People tell themselves, I will start when I feel ready. I will work when I feel inspired. I will exercise when I feel energetic. I will study when I feel focused. But what happens when the feeling never comes? Nothing. The work stays unfinished. The workout gets skipped. The business stays an idea. The book remains unread. That's the trap. You are expecting motivation to create action. But very often the opposite is true. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates motivation. That's the key. You do not always feel motivated before you begin. Sometimes you become motivated because you began. Take the first step. Open the document. Put on the shoes. Read the first page. Make the first call. Write the first sentence. Once you move, resistance starts losing power. You gain momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence makes the next action easier. And suddenly, the motivation you were waiting for begins appearing after the work has already started. You have a choice. You can sit around waiting for the perfect emotional state, or you can move first. You do not need to feel ready. You need to move. That's discipline. Discipline means acting when the mood disappears. Anybody can work when they are excited. Anybody can exercise when they feel energetic. Anybody can study when the deadline is close. Anybody can work when people are watching. The real test comes later, when the excitement is gone, when the results are slow, when nobody is applauding, when the work becomes boring. That's where most people quit, and that's exactly where you need to continue. Because meaningful progress requires repetition, and repetition is rarely exciting. You will have days when studying feels boring. Study anyway. You will have mornings when exercise feels uncomfortable.
Train anyway. You will have days when your business feels like it is going nowhere. Work anyway. You will have moments when nobody notices your effort. Continue anyway. You do not need to feel ready. You need to move. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's not about excitement. It's about consistency. It's not about how you feel today. It's about who you are becoming through repeated action. That's the key. Now understand something powerful. Consistency can become your competitive advantage. Why? Because most people quit. They start when something is exciting. They continue while it is new. Then the novelty disappears. The results slow down. The excitement fades, and they move to something else. They start another plan, another diet, another business idea, another productivity system, another goal, another beginning. But you do something different. You stay. You continue. You become comfortable with repetition. You become comfortable with boredom. You become comfortable doing work that nobody sees. And eventually, you pass people who were more talented but less consistent. When they stop, continue. When they get bored, continue. When nobody notices, continue. That's the advantage. The person who keeps showing up has an opportunity that the person who keeps restarting never gets. Mastery is built through repetition. Confidence is built through evidence. Results are built through consistency. Identity is built through action. And none of these require you to feel motivated every morning. You don't need their permission. You don't need applause. You don't need perfect conditions. You need a standard. Set the standard, then follow it. If you planned to train, train. If you planned to study, study. If you planned to write, write. If you planned to work, work. Your mood does not get to rewrite your commitments. You have a choice. Let your feelings control your behavior, or let your principles control your behavior. That's discipline. And remember, action creates momentum. Momentum creates motivation. So stop waiting. Move first. Build momentum. Let motivation catch up. Because the people who win are not always the people who feel the strongest. They are often the people who continue when strength feels absent. The boring days matter. The difficult days matter. The invisible days matter. Those are the days your identity is being built. Those are the days your habits are becoming stronger. Those are the days you separate yourself from everyone else who only acts when it feels good. You do not need perfect motivation. You need repeated action. And once you understand that your behavior is driven by powerful psychological loops, you can stop fighting your habits blindly and start understanding exactly what triggers them. Chapter 8. Master your cues, cravings, and rewards.
Chapter 8. Master your cues, cravings, and rewards. Your habits are not random. They follow patterns. Something happens, you feel something, you do something, you get a result. Then you repeat it. That's the habit loop. And if you understand the loop, you can change the behavior. That's the key. Every habit follows 4 basic stages: cue, craving, response, reward. The cue is the signal. The craving is what you want. The response is what you do. The reward is what you receive afterward. Think about your phone. A notification appears. That's the cue. You become curious. That's the craving. You pick up the phone. That's the response. You receive information, entertainment, or social connection. That's the reward. Then your brain learns, do that again. The same thing happens with food. You feel hungry. That's the cue. You want relief. That's the craving. You eat. That's the response. You feel satisfied. That's the reward.
It happens with boredom. It happens with stress. It happens with loneliness. It happens with procrastination. And once you understand this, something becomes clear. You are not simply fighting bad behavior. You are responding to a loop. Change the loop, and you change the behavior. That's the key. Start studying your own patterns. When do you reach for your phone? When do you procrastinate? When do you overeat? When do you avoid difficult work? What happens immediately before the behavior? That question matters, because the trigger often comes before you realize it. Maybe you scroll when you feel bored. Maybe you eat when you feel stressed. Maybe you procrastinate when a task feels difficult. Maybe you check messages whenever work becomes uncomfortable. Find the cue, then change the response. That's where transformation begins. And you also need to make good habits satisfying, because your brain naturally repeats behaviors that feel rewarding. What feels rewarding gets repeated. That's why tracking can be powerful. Put a check mark on the calendar. Record the workout. Track the pages. Measure the focused hours. Watch the streak grow. You are creating visible evidence of progress. That small feeling of accomplishment can reinforce the behavior. You can also pair difficult habits with something enjoyable. Listen to something you enjoy while walking. Have a favorite tea while reading. Create a satisfying routine around your work. The point is simple. Give your brain a reason to want the behavior again. What feels rewarding gets repeated. But now we need to go deeper, because bad habits also provide rewards. That's why they are difficult to eliminate. Procrastination gives you temporary relief. Scrolling gives you stimulation. Overeating can provide comfort. Avoiding difficult conversations can give you temporary peace. Overspending can create excitement. The behavior may be harmful long-term, but it provides something immediately. That's the trap. You are not simply addicted to the behavior, you may be attached to the feeling it produces. That's why simply saying, "Stop," is often not enough. You need a replacement. If you scroll because you are bored, create a healthier source of stimulation. If you eat because you are stressed, develop another way to regulate stress. If you procrastinate because the task feels overwhelming, make the task smaller. If you avoid work because you fear failure, start with a tiny action that lowers the emotional pressure. Do not only remove the habit, replace the reward. That's the key. You have a choice. You can keep asking, "Why can't I stop?" Or you can ask a better question. What am I getting from this behavior? Find the reward, then find a better way to get it. That's real behavioral change. You don't need their permission. You need awareness. You need to understand your cues, understand your cravings, understand your responses, understand your rewards. Then redesign the loop. It's not about having no weaknesses. It's about discipline through awareness. Because once you can see the pattern, you can interrupt the pattern. The notification appears. You don't automatically respond. The craving appears. You pause. The stress appears. You choose a better response. The boredom appears. You choose something productive. That pause is powerful. That pause is where choice lives. You have a choice. Your habits may be automatic, but they are not destiny. Change the cue, change the response, change the reward. Change the loop, and you change the behavior. Remember, what feels rewarding gets repeated. So make good habits rewarding, make bad habits less rewarding, and replace destructive rewards with healthier ones. Because when you understand why you behave the way you behave, you gain something more valuable than motivation. You gain control. But even with the best system, you will eventually have a bad day. You'll miss a workout, break a streak, eat the wrong meal, waste an afternoon, fail to follow through. The question is not whether you will slip. The question is what you will do next.
Chapter 9. Never let one bad day become a bad life. You are going to fail sometimes. You are going to have bad days. You will miss a workout. You will eat the unhealthy meal. You will skip the study session. You will waste an afternoon. You will break the routine. That does not make you a failure. It makes you human. That's the key. The real danger is not missing once. The real danger is what happens after you miss. One missed workout is an event. 2 missed workouts can become a pattern. 1 unhealthy meal is an event. Repeated unhealthy meals can become a lifestyle. 1 wasted day is an event. Repeated wasted days become an identity. That's why the rule is simple. Never miss twice. Miss once, return. Fall once, stand up. Lose momentum, restart. You have a choice. You can turn one mistake into an excuse, or you can turn one mistake into a reminder. The difference is what you do next. Imagine someone who exercises every morning. One day, something goes wrong. They miss the workout. Fine. The mistake is not the missed workout. The mistake is saying, I've already ruined the week. Then Monday becomes Tuesday. Tuesday becomes Wednesday. Wednesday becomes next week. Now one missed workout has become an abandoned routine. That is how small failures compound. The same thing happens with studying. You skip one session. Then you tell yourself you will make up for it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. You skip again. Now you feel guilty. Because you feel guilty, you avoid the work even more. The cycle continues. Stop the cycle early. Never miss twice. That's the key. You do not need to compensate with some extreme action. You simply return. 1 workout, 1 page, 1 healthy meal, 1 focused hour, 1 productive decision. Get back into motion. And stop demanding perfection from yourself. Perfectionism sounds disciplined. Sometimes it's just another excuse to quit. People think, if I cannot do it perfectly, there is no point. Wrong. There is always a point. 10 minutes is better than 0. 1 page is better than 0. 1 healthy meal is better than none. 1 productive hour is better than an entire day of avoidance. The goal is not perfection. The goal is recovery. That's the key. You don't need their permission. You don't need to punish yourself. You don't need to spend 3 days feeling guilty about 1 bad decision. Guilt does not complete the workout. Guilt does not finish the assignment. Guilt does not build the business. Guilt does not change the past. Action changes the next moment. So stop asking, why did I do that? Ask, what do I do now? That's a better question. You ate badly? Make the next meal better. You skipped training? Train tomorrow. You wasted the morning? Use the afternoon. You missed a study session? Study tonight. You broke the routine? Restart the routine. Don't turn one mistake into a story about who you are. You are not undisciplined because you had one bad day. You are not lazy because you procrastinated once. You are not a failure because something went wrong. Your identity is built through repetition. So give yourself another vote, then another, then another. You become what you repeatedly prove. Your comeback matters more than your mistake. Resilient people are not people who never fall. They are people who refuse to stay down. That's discipline. Fall quickly, recover quickly, continue quickly. Remember that. Fall quickly, recover quickly, continue quickly. Do not romanticize failure. Do not fear failure. Use it, learn from it, correct it, move forward. You have a choice. You can spend tomorrow regretting yesterday, or you can use today to change tomorrow. It's not about never failing, it's about discipline after failure.
The strongest habit is not the habit of never making mistakes. It is the habit of returning. Return when you're tired. Return when you're discouraged. Return when you're embarrassed. Return when you lose momentum. Return when nobody's watching. Because every time you return, you reinforce something powerful. I am someone who keeps going. That's the identity you want. Not perfection, persistence. Not flawless execution, fast recovery. Not never falling, getting back up. So remember the rule, never miss twice. One bad day does not have to become a bad week. One bad week does not have to become a bad year. And one mistake does not have to define your life. Your next action is always available. Take it, then take the next one. Because eventually, those small returns become something much bigger. They become consistency. They become identity. They become transformation. And when you combine systems, identity, small improvements, environment, discipline, and recovery, you begin creating a completely different life. But there is one final lesson. You must understand what happens when you keep doing all of this long enough. What happens when consistency becomes who you are.
Chapter 10. Become unrecognizable with consistency. Look at where you are today. Now imagine repeating your current habits for another year. Same routines, same decisions, same distractions, same excuses, same environment, same patterns. Where would they take you? Now imagine something different. 6 months of discipline, 1 year of consistency, 1 year of better decisions, 1 year of showing up, 1 year of protecting your attention, 1 year of building the right systems. Who would you become? That's the key. Your future self is not created someday. Your future self is being created today. Every workout is building that person. Every page you read is building that person. Every focused hour is building that person. Every dollar you save is building that person. Every time you resist distraction, you are building that person. Every time you return after failure, you are building that person. Your future is not waiting for you. Your future is being built by you. You have a choice, and that choice is repeated every day. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. You can change your life without making every day extraordinary. In fact, most days will not be extraordinary. Most days will be ordinary. You will wake up. You will work. You will train. You will read. You will make decisions. Then you will do it again tomorrow, and again, and again. That sounds boring. Good, because the boring days are the days that change everything. People want transformation to feel dramatic. They want fireworks. They want instant results. They want everyone to notice. But real transformation is often quiet. Nobody sees the workout. Nobody sees the book you read. Nobody sees the temptation you resisted. Nobody sees the hour you spent learning. Nobody sees you choosing discipline over comfort. Nobody applauds you for going to bed on time. Nobody gives you a trophy for keeping a promise to yourself. Do it anyway. Do the boring work. Keep the promise. Become the person. That's the key. The world rewards results, but results are built when nobody is watching. This is where most people misunderstand success. They see the finished product. They don't see the thousands of repetitions behind it. They see the successful entrepreneur. They don't see the years of consistent work. They see the fit body. They don't see the ordinary workouts. They see the knowledgeable person. They don't see the hundreds of hours spent reading and learning. They see the confidence. They don't see the countless promises kept privately. The result is visible. The repetition is invisible. But the repetition created the result. You become what you repeatedly prove. So now you must make a decision. Who are you willing to become? Not what do you want to own. Not what do you want people to admire. Who are you willing to become? A disciplined person? Then practice discipline. A healthy person? Then practice healthy behavior. A reader? Then read. A creator? Then create. A leader? Then act with responsibility.
A successful person? Then develop the habits that success requires. Do not wait for the identity. Build it. Do not wait to become it. Start behaving like it. You don't need their permission. You don't need applause. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need repetition. Choose the habit. Build the system. Design the environment. Make the first step easy. Remove the temptation. Understand the loop. Recover when you fail. Then repeat. Again and again and again. Until the behavior becomes natural. Until discipline becomes normal. Until the person you wanted to become is no longer an aspiration. It is you. You have a choice. You can continue repeating the patterns that created your current circumstances, or you can start building new patterns. You can keep choosing comfort or choose growth. You can keep waiting or start. You can keep making excuses or build systems. You can demand instant results or trust repetition. It's not about perfection. It's about discipline. It's not about one extraordinary day. It's about ordinary days repeated extraordinarily well. That's the key. Your habits are building your identity. Your identity influences your behavior. Your behavior creates your results, and your results eventually become your life. So choose carefully, because every day you are casting votes. Every habit is a vote. Every action is a vote. Every repetition is a vote. You have a choice. Every day, every habit, every repetition. So make the vote count. Do the boring work. Keep the promise. Return when you fail. Stay when it gets difficult. Continue when nobody notices. And one day you will look back and realize something powerful. You did not transform your life in one giant moment. You transformed it one small decision at a time, one habit at a time, one day at a time, one repetition at a time, until you became unrecognizable. Not because you got lucky, not because you waited for motivation, not because someone gave you permission, because you stayed consistent. Your future is not waiting for you. Your future is being built by you. Now the decision belongs to you. Start today. Choose one habit. Choose one system. Choose one behavior that proves who you want to become. Then repeat it. Tomorrow, repeat it again. And the day after that, repeat it again. Because your life is always moving in the direction of your repeated choices. You have a choice. Make the choice that your future self will thank you for. And when the excitement fades, continue. When the progress feels invisible, continue. When the work becomes boring, continue. When nobody notices, continue. Because every action is a vote. Every repetition is a vote. Every ordinary day is a vote for the person you are becoming. You have a choice. You can keep repeating the habits that created your current life, or you can start building new habits that will create your future. So choose one habit. Start today. Make it small. Make it impossible to ignore. Then repeat it until it becomes who you are. Like this video if you are ready to change. Subscribe to Mindshift Audiobooks for more powerful lessons on discipline, mindset, success, and personal transformation. And remember, your habits are not just changing your days, they are building your life.